Hello. Welcome back to the alcohol experiment. It's day 3. Today's chapter is called Why We Think We Like to Drink. And we have an ACT exercise called Alcohol and Sleep. It's a really important chapter. Also, tomorrow, I'm really excited for tomorrow's chapter too. It's called Dealing with Discomfort. So just a reminder, I'm reading straight from Annie Grace's brilliant book, The Alcohol Experiment. These are the words of Annie Grace. And when Melissa, am interjecting my voice, I will make that really clear. So we're just going to hop into it. First, we start with a quote. This quote is from Karen Salmonson. True happiness comes from gaining insight and growing into your best possible self. Otherwise, all you're having is immediate gratification pleasure, which is fleeting and doesn't grow you as a person. Clearly, we must like drinking. Otherwise, we wouldn't do it, right? At least in the beginning, we liked it. Right now, you might be struggling with how much you actually hate the after effects. But there's no denying that the first drink feels good. Before we unpack all the complicated pieces of the alcohol puzzle, it's important to understand what's actually happening in the brain when we drink. So, I'm out with my friends and I order a glass of wine. I've had a hard day at work and I'm looking forward to relaxing and laughing with the people I love. The first glass makes me feel giggly, and there's a little rush of euphoria that makes me feel good, maybe for the first time all day. What's happening is that the wine artificially stimulates the area of my brain called the nucleus accumbens, or the pleasure center. The chemicals responsible for euphoria are endorphins, the same chemicals responsible for good feelings after you exercise. Dopamine and serotonin. Two main chemicals work in the pleasure center. Dopamine, which is responsible for desire and craving, and serotonin, which is responsible for the feelings of satisfaction and inhibition. In a healthy brain, there's a delicate balance between the two. But alcohol throws off that balance. And so as I'm drinking that glass of wine, lots of dopamine gets dumped into my system, making me want more of what gave me the pleasure, more of the alcohol. Since the pleasure center has been artificially stimulated by an outside substance, my brain seeks to regain that correct balance. So it sends out a chemical downer called dynorphin. This actually suppresses my feelings of euphoria, and as the effects of the first glass start to wear off, my sense of well-being actually falls below where it was when I started drinking. That means I'm lower than when I got off work after a hard day. Bummer. The dopamine is still working though, and that makes me crave more of what made me feel good. So I order another glass of wine, and the cycle starts all over again. An unwanted effect is that in order to combat the depressant effects of alcohol, my body counteracts the alcohol by releasing things like adrenaline and cortisol. You may have heard of cortisol. It's also known as the stress hormone. So now, in my body's attempt to maintain homeostasis and combat the alcohol, I'm even lower than when I started. In other words, I now have to cross an even bigger gap to get above that baseline of pleasure. And that's miserable. Even worse, though, is that the alcohol is starting to affect other areas of my brain. My senses are being numbed, and my brain is actually slowing down. Eventually, I might slur my speech. Perhaps my vision blurs. I feel detached from reality. I convince myself that this is a welcome break from the world. The cycle continues. The drinking cycle continues, and I get more and more drunk. What was at first a nice tipsy feeling is now completely out of control. But I don't care because my brain isn't processing the long-term meanings and implications of my behavior. Eventually, if I'm drinking a lot, it's been slowed down so much that I have to work hard to walk straight on my way to the bathroom. My brain receptors have become numb, and my senses don't relay the information as well, so memories aren't formed. I don't completely recall the embarrassing things I say or do while I'm drunk. I don't feel the pain I'm trying to escape. The stress from the workday fades away for a little while, but the stress remains when I sober up, and it's compounded by the hangover I'm suffering from. The embarrassing photos show up on Facebook, and my best friend won't talk to me because I pissed her off so badly. Somehow, I'm not even really sure what happened. If you're reading this book, you know what I'm talking about. The initial rush doesn't last. The more drunk you get, the more you regret it when you sober up. It's a downward it's a downward spiral. And if you're like me, you blame yourself. Why can't I get it together? Why am I so weak? What's wrong with me? Today, realize that the cycle has nothing to do with you being strong or weak. It has nothing to do with you being good or bad. It's a chemical chain reaction that happens to everyone. Although we all feel the effects slightly differently based on our age, sex, and environment and weight, the biological reactions are the same. So, day 3 journaling questions. Remember, all the wisdom you seek is actually inside you. The most important words in this experiment are the ones you tell yourself. Take some time and answer these questions in here or in a separate journal, a voice memo to yourself, or simply by speaking the answers out loud. It says that every day if you haven't discovered that yet. 1, brain chemicals. Reflect on the teaching about what is happening inside your brain. Just write down what comes to mind. How does this make you feel? What was the most surprising thing about today's lesson? How can you use this knowledge going forward? Question 2, not your fault. Can you begin to see that your brain, in relation to an addictive substance, has actually been doing exactly what it's supposed to do? Really feel that. You've truly been doing the best you can with the tools you have. Alcohol just might not be the best tool, at least not all the time. How does it feel to know that there is nothing wrong with you? Reflect on the knowledge that you are whole, not broken, despite what you may have believed. How does that make you feel? I'm stumbling over my words today. I apologize for that. I hope it doesn't make you feel any less impactful because, like, oh, yeah, I feel like I'm doing Miss Annie Grace a disservice. Okay. So this is ACT number 2. ACT is Awareness, Clarity, Turnaround, and it's on alcohol and sleep. Okay, awareness. When I started researching this book, I sent out a survey asking people what their biggest fears were about giving up alcohol. I was surprised to see sleep come up high on the list. It's a huge fear for people that they won't be able to fall asleep or they won't be able to stay asleep. Let's name this belief. I need alcohol to stay asleep, or I need alcohol to sleep. If you're struggling with this belief, you're definitely not alone. One of my favorite authors, William Porter, who wrote The Alcohol Explained. I'm going to start that sentence over. So sorry. One of my favorite authors, William Porter, who wrote Alcohol Explained, is well versed in alcohol's effects on sleep, and he explains this topic brilliantly. So let's dig into this belief a little deeper. Clarity. I'm not sure how much the media is responsible for this particular belief. There's not a lot of insomnia portrayed in the movies or on TV. However, if you've ever had a bout of sleeplessness, you know how disconcerting it can be. Sleep is critical to our mental and physical well-being. I said mental. Sleep is critical to our mental and physical well-being. And when you can't sleep, you'll do anything to be able to sleep. Lack of sleep has been linked to serious health problems, including cancer, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, infections, and obesity. It also affects alertness, mood, and physical strength. This is because your body repairs itself while you sleep. It's also a time when your mind digests what's happened during the day. It assimilates the information and often comes up with solutions to problems. So when you wake up, you feel better physically and mentally. Uh, Mentical. Oh my gosh. That means if you've experienced alcohol helping you sleep, then this belief takes hold very quickly. Regular, high quality sleep is essential to our well being. So let's look at how sleep actually works. There are two levels of sleep: rapid eye movement, REM sleep, and deep sleep, or slow wave sleep. Every night you go through several cycles of both levels. First, you dip into REM sleep when you're a bit restless and your eyes are literally darting back and forth inside your eyelids, which is where the name comes from. This is light sleep, but it's crucial to your good health. Scientists don't actually know why REM sleep is so important, but they've done studies where rats were deprived of REM sleep and it killed them in just a few weeks. Holy moly. Wow. Once you cycle out of REM, you go into a deeper level of slow wave sleep. That's when the body does the repair work that needs to happen to keep you healthy. Sorry. Okay. Once you cycle out of REM, you go into a deeper level of slow wave sleep. That's when the body does the repair work that needs to happen to keep you healthy. When you're getting a good night's sleep, you go through 6 or 7 cycles of both REM sleep and deep sleep. Now, what happens when alcohol is introduced into the equation? Alcohol is a chemical depressant, so it reduces neural activity in the brain. As you already know, homeostasis is the delicate balance where all the systems in your body are working correctly. When you drink, you're introducing a foreign chemical. And in order to release homeostasis, or in order to reach homeostasis, your brain has to release powerful counter chemicals and stress hormones. So the cycle looks like this: you have a drink and you stimulate your pleasure center while the blood alcohol is rising. But as time goes on and the alcohol level starts to go down, your brain knows there's a depressant in your system. So it releases stimulants, adrenaline and cortisol, to bring you back up to homeostasis. Unfortunately, the depressant alcohol wears off before the stimulants do. So you're left with an overstimulated brain for hours after the drinks have worn off. It's as if you drank alcohol and a triple espresso at the same time. The alcohol wears off, but the espresso is still affecting you hours later. The alcohol is disrupting your sleep schedule. After you drink, you go into a deep sleep for the first 5 hours or so. 5 hours or so. This might seem great, but you don't get into REM sleep, and you need both. So while your body is trying to process all the chemicals in your body, your cycles are completely thrown out of whack. You wind up with only 1 or 2 cycles of REM sleep instead of 6 or 7, the 6 or 7 that you actually need. After those first 5 hours, you wake up and can't get back to sleep. Many people wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning and fret about everything that they can think of. The worry and regret sleep in, and negative thoughts take over the brain. All of this is happening because you are overstimulated and your body chemistry is completely out of balance. Here's the thing: any amount of alcohol will disrupt your sleep. Any amount of alcohol will disrupt your sleep. It doesn't matter if you have 1 drink or you go on a margarita binge fest. You're not going to sleep well. If you do this night after night, the lack of quality sleep cycles will begin to take its toll. And there's another big problem. When you start getting ready for bed without alcohol in your system. Hold on. Excuse me. Man, I'm struggling to get through this today. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry for sneezing. I mean, geez. Okay. If you do this night after night, the lack of quality sleep cycles will begin to take its toll. And there's another big problem. When you start getting ready for bed without alcohol in your system, your body releases its own chemicals to quiet you down and prepare you for sleep. But when you drink regularly, you train your brain to utilize the artificial depressants in the alcohol to do that job. So that means you're relying on alcohol to put you to sleep, but you still aren't rested because your natural sleep rhythms are out of whack. So, what does this mean for you during this experiment? It means that the first 2 to 5 nights of not drinking, your body may still be expecting those artificial depressants. Your brain might be your brain might be confused during those early days, and you could have trouble falling asleep. The worst thing you can do at that point, the worst thing you can do at that point is to have a drink to help you sleep. It might seem like the right thing to do, but it will actually set your progress back. The good news is most people find they're sleeping better than ever after the fifth night. You've given your brain time to readjust itself and get the chemical release balanced again. And once this happens for the first time in years, you maybe decades, you will start getting the rest that your body so desperately needs. This is great news. While you're waiting for your brain to readjust, you can try a few tricks to help you sleep. First, avoid caffeinated drinks after about noon. Caffeine can affect the body for up to 10 hours. So you want it all out of your system by the time you're ready to hit the sack. The other trick is to get a bit of exercise. When you get your body moving, you'll actually find you sleep much better than if you're at rest all day long. You don't have to do anything extreme. You can simply go take a walk in the fresh air and get your blood moving. If you've been drinking for a long time, you may not even notice the daily fatigue you're experiencing because of disrupted sleep patterns. You might think it's because you're getting older. Maybe you're always tired and you tell yourself, that's just how I am. We are so overworked and undernourished that fatigue has become completely normal. Let me give you some good news. Once you stop drinking and get your sleep regulated, that fatigue and brain fog often disappear completely. You'll feel better than you have in ages. That's your reward. But you have to get through those first few days and give your body a chance to fix itself. Turn around. The opposite of I need alcohol to sleep is I don't need alcohol to sleep. Come up with as many ways as you can that the opposite is as true or truer than the original belief. I struggled through that, fam. I'm really sorry about that. But I don't know about you, but when I heard that it's common for people to wake up at 3 or 4 when they're drinking, I was like, oh my God, yeah, because not even just because I'm like a mom, right? I would wake up around 3 all the time. What's the other thing? I had no idea how tired I was and how much brain fog I had until I got sober. And she's right, around day 5, I started sleeping better. And then especially day 7 and that second week, sleeping way, way better. Um, um, but yeah, I didn't realize how much energy I could have during the day. So that's pretty awesome. I struggled through that. I was going to pre-record tomorrow, but I am struggling to read today, so I'm not going to do that. I will see you tomorrow with day 4. Good luck. Engage with the group, engage with me. You can comment here. You can text me, email me, DM me if you need support. I'm around. Take care of yourself. I'll see you. Bye.